When I discovered their affair, something inside me didn't break the way people imagine. There was no screaming, no smashing plates, no shaking hands. Just a long, painful silence that filled my entire apartment as if time itself refused to move. I stared at the messages on my fiancé Ethan's phone, his late-night confessions, the intimate jokes, the photos he thought he had deleted. And there she was, Alina Laurent, the woman known in every high society magazine, the daughter of a powerful billionaire family, the one whose wedding was being whispered about for months like it was the next royal event. I was nothing compared to her, at least in the eyes of their world. Ethan came home humming that night, as if he'd just had the best day of his life. When he saw my expression, he froze. "What's wrong?" he asked, but he already knew. I could see it in the way the color drained from his face. Instead of confronting him, I simply stood up, handed him his phone, and walked past him. His voice cracked behind me, begging me to talk, but I kept walking. The silence was my armor. For the next weeks, I watched them from a distance. Their affair wasn't new, it had history, comfort, and a sickening charm that only two people who believe they deserve everything could nurture. He thought I would scream and leave. He thought the pain would make me disappear quietly. Instead, I stayed calm, observing every detail, collecting every truth, letting their self-confidence blind them. Surprise invitations arrived in my email, their engagement announcement, then the wedding details sent automatically from her family's event system, not knowing I was still on their list. And that's when I made my decision. I didn't want revenge at first. But betrayal has a strange way of shaping people. What hurt me most wasn't losing Ethan, it was realizing I had willingly spent years dimming myself for a man who saw me as something replaceable. No more. If they wanted to build a relationship on lies, let their lies be exposed under the brightest chandelier, in the most expensive ballroom, in front of the world they valued more than love. When the wedding week arrived, the entire city buzzed. Newspapers described it as the most anticipated union of the year. The Laurent estate had been transformed into a palace, crystal fountains, gold-trimmed decor, imported orchids lining the driveway. Every guest who walked in was part of old money or new power. And I walked in among them, invited, unnoticed, invisible until I chose not to be. I blended into the crowd, wearing a dress Ethan once said made me too noticeable. Perfect. The music swelled as the ceremony began. Alina stood at the altar, a vision in lace and diamonds, while Ethan waited with a nervous smile, unaware that his life was about to split open. But I waited. Not yet. The silence had a rhythm now, a purpose. I watched every step, every vow, every lie spoken with trembling lips. And as the priest asked if anyone objected, the room held its breath. No one expected a sound. I didn't speak, not then. Instead, I waited for the reception, where truth would echo louder than vows. And when the moment came, I walked toward the stage with the calmness of someone who had already let go of pain. This wasn't revenge. This was closure, and I was finally ready to take it. The wedding reception glittered like a kingdom built on illusions. Guests laughed, champagne overflowed, cameras flashed like stars bursting across the room. Everywhere I turned, I saw faces drenched in money, power, and pride. But beneath the glamour was a truth waiting to detonate. I waited until after the couple's grand entrance, a parade of silk, diamonds, and forced perfection. Ethan looked tense, but he kept stealing glances at Alina with a devotion that made my stomach twist. It wasn't love, it was ambition wearing a tailored suit. Their relationship had always been a transaction. She wanted rebellion, he wanted access. I was simply the stepping stone they stepped on together. As the lights dimmed for the speeches, the wedding planner handed me a microphone, not realizing what she had just enabled. I gave her a polite smile and walked toward the stage. Conversations quieted, heads turned, curiosity rose like smoke. "Good evening," I said softly. The microphone amplified my calmness, and silence spread like wildfire. Ethan's face paled instantly. Alina's smile froze, her fingers tightening around her champagne glass. "I wasn't planning to speak tonight," I continued, "but since I received an invitation, unexpected, but thoughtful, I decided to share a small story." Guests leaned in, expecting something elegant. "Once," I said, "there were two people who believed they could build happiness on lies. They thought no one would ever discover the midnight messages, the hotel rooms under fake names, the months of manipulation." A murmur rippled across the hall. Ethan took a step forward. "Stop," he whispered, but his voice was swallowed by the microphone. Alina glanced at him sharply, panic flickering behind her expensive mascara. I reached into my clutch and pulled out the printed messages, pages of their affair, photos, dates, timestamps. I held them up under the chandelier light. These, I said, are your future memories. The foundation of the marriage you're celebrating tonight. Gasps erupted. Phones rose. People recorded. Alina's father shot out of his chair, fury tightening his jaw. Her mother clutched her pearls. Ethan ran toward me, grabbing my arm, but I stepped back, calm as ever. You lied to me, he hissed. Why are you doing this? I looked at him, not with anger, but with clarity. Because I stayed silent long enough, I said. And silence shouldn't protect the people who break others. The room descended into chaos. Alina stormed toward Ethan, shoving him, shouting, mascara streaking down her cheeks as she demanded explanations. Her father ripped the bouquet from her hands, scolding her loudly, humiliated beyond measure. Guests whispered, some leaving, some filming, all captivated by the destruction of a perfect illusion. I placed the microphone back on the stand. I don't want your apologies, I said. I don't want revenge. I simply wanted the truth to live where it belongs, in the open. Then I walked away, past the chandeliers, past the shocked elite, past the man who once promised me forever. Outside, the night air embraced me, finally free. The estate behind me roared with chaos, but I felt nothing except peace. I had survived betrayal, survived heartbreak, survived silence. But now I had survived them. As I reached the gates, I exhaled the last piece of pain I carried. I didn't need a new love, a new life, or validation. I only needed myself, and the strength I had rediscovered. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destroying someone. It's walking away while they burn in the fire they lit.